On Saturday we'll be on 45 points for the season with 14 games to go. Only one team's ever been relegated with that points total in the last 6 years. How does it feel to be so close to achieving something massive again and staying up this year?
That's a really good question, and I'm glad you give me those stats, because I hadn't known those stats, although I knew 45 would probably be enough. Look, it's a nice position to be in, considering we was one of the favourites to go down. I think everyone wrote us off to be relegated. So yeah, I mean, look, we've got to get to 45 points, because even 14 games left, you've got to make sure you get those points on the board. But it'll be a nice position to be in Saturday if we win, and we have hit that 45 point milestone. So yeah, we've worked hard to put ourselves in this position.
Did you ever expect that you'd be at this point at the start of the season?
Yeah, I think all the staff will tell you that was my goal. Actually, my goal was probably to be a little bit higher at the table than we are. I know on the outside people think that's arrogance and confidence or cockiness, but I know the group of players I've got, and I know how hard they work. So, and when I look back at the points we've dropped, we probably should be a little bit higher. But look, I'm not getting carried away. I'm still quite happy where we are.
You said before your game against Fleetwood that you're a club built on clean sheets. Has that ideology been the priority for the whole season?
100%, 100%. It's been my lovely word, by the way, ideology. I like that. It's been my vision since I become manager of this football club. When I got this job, an old experienced manager of mine rung me up, and he actually gave me probably the best bit of advice I've had. And he said, just set your team up not to get beat, because you will always create chances. Don't set your team up to go out and be expansive and win matches, he said, because you leave yourself open and you still will create the same chances. Just be solid. And it was a really good bit of advice. And from that day, I've always set my team up not to get beat. And obviously with the hope and the knowledge that we will create a chance or two.
Having worked under Alan Pardew and being friends with Gareth Southgate, how do you think they've influenced your success as a manager?
Yeah, I wouldn't say they've influenced, but they've certainly supported, myself as a manager. Gareth's been a long-time friend of mine, and seeing him do what he's done for England, equally he's ringing me up when we're getting a result. It's kind of bizarre. I think probably Bromley fans will find that kind of weird that he's looking out for our results. So that's always nice. And Alan's a regular here. He comes and watches as many games as he can. So. And they've always got nice words of wisdom, but more of support. It's nice to know that these people have been at the highest level of football, and they're here kind of supporting me as a friend, and that's really, really nice and quite important to me.
You had a few new arrivals in January, including Arsenal's Maldini Kachuri. How do you feel to have so much confidence from the board behind you?
Yeah, I think it's nice that they respect and back my decisions in certain situations. People might have thought we didn't need to bring another player in, or we didn't need to do certain bit of business. But I think with window to window, you can't leave yourself on the hope that something might not happen. You're better off going on the hope that something will happen, and you're going to need these players. And that's kind of the sales pitch I had to the chairman, who was completely on board, completely gets it. And I think it's more important to have players in the building rather than cutting corners and hoping you get lucky with injuries. And then to get someone like Maldini in, who's a great player, is brilliant for us.
Has it been difficult to keep the cohesion within the squad with a few players coming in and a few leaving in January?
That's always a tricky one, but I always maintain that the team picks itself. They all think I pick it, but if you're winning football matches and you're keeping clean sheets, it becomes quite easy because the team picks itself. And I think if you're honest and true to that, the lads that are in the team know they've got to keep winning to stay in the team, and the lads that are out the team trying to get in, they've got to wait their time, and when they get their chance, they've got to stay in the team and make sure it keeps winning. And that's kind of how I've sort of played this position out as manager here. I've always stuck to that mantra. I think there's been probably the odd time I might have tweaked or changed, but overall that's kind of the mantra. And if everyone knows that that's how we operate, there can't be too many complaints if the team's winning 1-0s and 2-0s and keeping clean sheets, and they just have to wait.
What have been your thoughts about the 3-Up campaign, which would mean 3 teams would come up from the National League each season?
I was a big supporter of it when we was in the National League, and it does change when you're in the league. You kind of look and you think, I don't know, But I do think it's the way our football pyramid should go. If I'm to be honest, I think it'll be progression for our football pyramid, which is probably one of the best football pyramids in the world, I believe. But I don't get the vote, so it's not up to me. So all the time we're in the league, I'm quite happy that the other people vote.
Do you worry at all that could mean that you could be relegated, possibly in future?
Yeah, it's always you always worry about the trapdoor in any managerial job. I tend not to look at that too much about the relegation. I kind of just tend to base it on, if you win football matches, you generally, week to week, you should stay in a job. I mean, and that kind of seems a bit obvious. If you start winning loads of football matches, then you start wondering the reality of being a football manager, and that's a simple equation for me. Win more than you lose.
Do you think that League Two and the National League have got quite close in the quality, with you and Chesterfield both having really good seasons this year?
Do I think that's a good question. I think there's certain teams in the league, yes, but then you look at the budgets and the top teams, and then the budgets of some other big clubs in there, there's poles apart. I mean, our budget compared to some clubs is like we're 1/6 of their budget. So when it comes down to numbers and money available to spend on players, we are probably in the bottom four.
And looking forward to Harrogate on the weekend. How are you feeling? Okay.
We go into every game confident, and I think it's important. We go with that mindset. I try to make us sort of focus on us a little bit more and make sure that we worry about what we do rather than too much what the opposition does. That's not to say we don't look at the opposition, but we try and make it all about us and what we're going to do and how we're going to execute the game plan, and that's the important bit. So yeah, we're going into the game 2 clean sheets and 2 wins, in a nice position.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you, young man. Thank you.